Hi crafters, Amy here with Amy's Wears, and I have a fun stencil technique to share with you today. I'm going to do some dry embossing and some sanding. Now I have the Date Night collection of mini ink pads from Catherine Pooler, my blending brushes from the Rabbit Hole Designs, and here are a couple photos of the finished card. I'm going to show you how I made it. Here's a close-up in a moment here just to give you an idea of how this laid out, but I will show you the steps that I took to create this fun, different look with my stencils. Now, for a minute here, you're going to see me do some painfully awkward and not very good ink blending. You're going to see me get fingerprints all over the place, and it's basically going to look a hot mess, but it does come together in the end, so just stick it out. I have these cool little finger covering tools that my friend Therese sent me, so thank you for that, Therese. But I'm just going to try and prevent myself from getting ink fingerprints all over my panel, but I'm going to come in with a few different colors from Catherine Pooler and just try and lay down some really saturated ink blending before I move to the next step on this technique. So I have a nice dark blue, a pink, and a purpley color. So this is going to be a holiday card when all is said and done, and it does end up looking a lot better than this. So stick with me, I promise it'll get better. But this technique in general is just a fun, different way to use your stencils, maybe in a way you didn't think to use them. So if you know me, you know I work with stencils all the time. I'm obsessed, and I love using them in all different ways with all different techniques to stretch my supplies. And you know, compared to a lot of other things, they have a really good price point. So I hope you enjoy this technique that I'm about to show you. I'm nearly done with the ink blending here, and then now I'm going to show you the awkward step of trying to remember the sandwich that I need for this technique. This is my Spellbinders Platinum 6. I have the base platform. I have my metal shim that I put in the bottom. I have my rubber mat, which is going to come next. And then I have my panel, which is a 110-pound Neenah Classic Crest Solar White, and this gorgeous Snow Doily stencil. This is part of the November release at A Colorful Life Designs, which is chock full of holiday, winter, Christmas goodness. So be sure to check it out and use my coupon if you shop, and you'll save 10% on your complete order. And as always, there is a Master Creator Bundle if you want to save even a bigger discount. And those details are in my video description box below. So here I'm using some mint tape from scrapbook.com. I'm just using that to attach the panel to the stencil because I don't want it to shift around, because I know it's about to get ugly trying to run this thing through, giving myself a hernia and trying to remember the right pressure. So then I have the embossing plate, and I decided to turn this around so I can use my, left hand to crank it through. I guess it doesn't look as awkward here as I'm watching it, but it was a struggle. Okay, here I knew it was like decent pressure. It wasn't really hard to put it through, but I'm like, I want more dimension than this, folks. So I decided to add some shims of just rando cardstock that I have here. So you can see here, I'm going to try and, nope. Look at that camera shake. Look at that struggle. My goodness. Okay, too many shims. So I take one out. If I was smart, I would actually, write myself a note with the sandwich that I use so I could remember to do this next time, but that's entirely too much common sense for me. So I use one shim, the metal, the rubber, the paper and the stencil, and then the embossing. Yeah, look at me throw stuff around. The embossing plate. So that's how I did it. It's not as dramatic as like an embossing folder. Certainly not like a 3D embossing folder, but you can see it's really cool, and it lays down that design. So I don't know. I think to do this, when I see little circle cutouts on stencils like this, I feel like this is a good type of stencil to use with this technique. So I'm just going to carefully remove the mint tape, and then I decide I want to go a step further. So this is actually like a little sanding tool. A regular piece of sanding paper would be fine. This I actually have with my colored pencils because I have those little those little paper blending nubby things that you can use with Gamsol. So that's why I have this, to actually kind of sand away the paper on those little blending tools. But I thought, hey, I'm going to use that sandpaper to rub off the top layer of the paper over the little nubs. So it did definitely emboss, otherwise this wouldn't work. And I'm just kind of carefully figuring out the best way to rub off the top layer, and then essentially just show the white core of the paper underneath. So I'm just sanding off the top part of the embossing, and then it allows the white design to show through. So I decide here, or I realize here at this point, that I can just lay it flat and run it across the top and it works just fine. So in typical fashion, I was making things harder for myself than I needed to when this works just fine. So I'm just holding it flat and laying the paper flat, and this did the trick, and I was able to just really sand off the top layer. So this is just a fun way to use your stencils in a different way. Now here you may have seen me make these. These are white embossed sentiments on white cardstock, and you can see I'm just going to use the same pink color, and I'm just going to dab this sentiment strip right in the ink. I have my paper towel at the ready because this is a little messy. Probably already noticed my fingers are super inky, but look at that. The white embossing will resist the ink, and then it will show my sentiment. So I have a little stack of these that I made in a prior video. I will link that in the video description box below if you want to check that out. But that was just another part of my batching process. Just going to wipe off the extra that's kind of sitting on top of the embossing and cut down the strip to put it all together. So this is a fun, easy way to kind of have custom sentiments that you can custom color on demand as you need them. And I have these little foam strips that I get from Amazon. I'll link those below. And I'm just going to use that to add a little bit of dimension and pop up the sentiment. But overall, it's still going to be nice and flat, low profile, easy to ship, which is, I don't know, what I want when it comes to my holiday cards, because I'm going to be mailing out a bunch of these. So just cut them down to size a couple little strips and remove the backer and put that down directly on the card. And as you can see, it does have a nice little white frame that is attached to an A2 size card base of 110 pound Nita Classic Crest Solar White. So I'm just going to put this where I want it on the composition. I feel like the white border kind of brings out the white of the doily snowflake, and that all ties in nicely. But I do want to add these little crystal bubbles from Doodle's Paper Playground. She was, when I last checked, out of stock of these. I don't know if she will have them back in stock by the time that I release this video, but I will link her shop below. She's a small woman-owned business, and she has tons of really cool embellishments for your card and for shaker cards and things like that. So be sure to check out her shop. She has loads of fun stuff. Even if she doesn't have these, you'll find tons of fabulous little sparkle blends and things like that for your cards, which, like I said, are great for the front of your card or for shakers. But this finishes my card. It was pretty simple in design, kind of a fun technique that I haven't done a whole lot in terms of sanding off the little top bits of my embossing, but it really created a fun look, and it was something different. So I enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'll link everything below. Don't forget my coupon if you shop A Colorful Life Designs, and I will check you next time. Bye.